Hey everyone, today I want to talk about Reaper's role as the tank killer and his importance in the current meta of public games at least, and perhaps competitive once we have the game evolve over the next couple of balance changes that are due. So we want to take a look at Reaper's ability to ambush heroes that are slower and do enough damage in close range to really outshine the tank's ability to do close range damage. Reaper has this unique role as somebody who's tough enough to stay in and be able to absorb quite a few hits with his 250 health, but he has the ability to escape with his shift, get out of danger quickly. He can get to spots that only a select few heroes can get to, and he uses these spots generally to drop down or to get to areas where people don't expect him to be. He's an ambush class. That's what his role is to ambush heroes, potentially flanking, but not always necessary to flank, especially in the tank killer role. A lot of times you want to be around the front lines, but you want to be on the front lines in areas they're not going to expect you to suddenly appear. And when you do appear, you're going to be able to take out the tanks first and as quickly as possible. But this isn't to say that he doesn't target healers, especially if you're coming down on a tank healer combo. You generally want to take the healer out first, but keep in mind that your role as the tank killer is to negate what is currently becoming a more and more popular form of play, and that is the double tank. In this particular game that you're watching in the background, it's the second capture point of Hanamura, and we end up holding them off, spoiler alert. But the first point was a slaughter. They had double tank, they had a Winston and I believe a D.Va, and so pretty much their whole team was capable of flanking through the first front door, the first really tough choke point to get through in Hanamura 1, and they essentially just ran to the point, and we could not deliver enough damage. I was playing Soldier 76 at the time, and they could close the distance on me too quickly. I couldn't maintain my mid-range damage potential because they were getting in close, and I just could not out-damage them in close range. That they were pushing us back. They were taking out our healers quickly. It was essentially the double tank with the high health, sustained close range damage. Not high close range damage, but sustained. 76 has to reload. 76 doesn't have a huge amount of health with a healer, and even when he's capable of dropping his circular healing ability, he was getting knocked out of it by D.Va's pushback on her fly and Winston's ultimate, and essentially it wasn't going well. We ended up, I think, losing the first cap point very, very quickly. The second capture point took forever, but we ended up holding it. And I think part of the reason that we ended up holding it is because several of our members switched heroes, and I ended up switching to Reaper, and we were capable of taking out their tanks and setting up these ambushes and not allowing them to get a really good sustained push. And when they did get a sustained push, we were capable of collapsing on that push quickly. We responded to it, and we collapsed upon it. This is probably the most important thing to keep in mind when you're playing Reaper in the tank killer role, is that he's going to be operating on the front lines generally, unless their tanks are jumping ahead with the Winston and a D.Va and attempting to cause disruption. You can shut down this disruption very quickly, perhaps more quickly than pretty much every other class, because Reaper's close range sustained damage is massive. And I think once the McCree nerf, which I think eventually is coming, does come, and his burst damage at close range anyway is probably toned down to the point that it's not as effective against tanks, he'll still be able to kill flankers relatively efficiently and relatively quickly, which is really his role, McCree. But I think that Reaper needs to be top dog when dealing with tanks, with dealing with enough health and sustaining that close range damage to the point that he's capable. I mean, he's in this state right now, but I think he's going to take the top role of being able to kill tanks the best. So let's specifically talk about what you're looking to do when you're playing Reaper in the tank killer position, and that is to anticipate pushes. You want to put yourself in a position generally along the main route that you know that tanks and healers will probably be coming. You want to put yourself in a position that you can see them coming before they can see you, or at least when they do see you, it's too late. That you get the jump on them, you're able to deal at least 2 or 3 hits with your close range weapons, and it's going to give you enough of an advantage. You're going to take one person with you, potentially 2 people with you, and the 2 people you're looking to take are the healer and the tank. That you are the bane to their frontline pushes, and once you take these people with you, they have to essentially regroup. They have to shut down their primary push, and they have to reconsider what they were planning on doing, whether it was an ultimate push or whether it was going to be just a straight frontal push with a Reinhardt. That they can't do that anymore. That you handicap them, you cripple them, and then you are potentially able to get out of there and retreat with your shift ability. Once you're out of danger, harm's way, you can reset up, you can reposition yourself, and you can be ready to anticipate another push. The timing when attacking with Reaper is key too, because there's 2 schools of thought here. One is that you anticipate the frontal push, the main area that they're going to attack from. You ambush them and you maybe take out the healer, potentially take out the tank or heavily damage the tank, and then you retreat back to your defensive front lines, or essentially to your area of safety, your area of operation. This is one way of dealing with Reaper, but there's another way of dealing with them, and this usually involves using your ultimate, and this is waiting for the attack to happen, waiting for the very cusp of a big battle breaking out, where the enemy team is pushing forward. They're probably using a Reinhardt to absorb that initial burst range damage that your team is trying to hold them off with, but they're just about to push past that point and into close to mid-range, and they're going to start contesting the point, or they're going to start contesting the payload, and this is where Reaper will join the fray right as enough enemy players are distracted by your team. This is where he drops that ultimate, and he does massive damage up close. This is where he's able to target whoever he wants, because enough of the damage dealers are distracted, so he can take out that healer, move to the tank, start dealing that damage on the tank. With most classes, the real trick with Reaper is knowing how far you can push your damage versus your health. And I would argue that with tanks, pretty much every tank is not capable of killing you before you can kill them. If you line up those headshots with the big target, the big head right in your face at close range, you can pretty much kill all of them very, very quickly. There's always that risk with Roadhog that he's going to just do that huge burst damage. He's going to line up his headshot, or he's going to get the chain off and have the faster reaction or the faster ping with you, and before you can use your shift, he can headshot you, and Roadhog is always that risk. Be confident in your ability to take out tanks. Tanks have a specific role in a game because they are scary. This isn't the case with Reaper. Reaper has no fear of this close range damage, because Reaper knows he can out damage them, and he's taking the fight to them. As always, guys, I hope you found this useful. Really try to consider using Reaper if the enemy team pull on this double tank thing that's becoming more and more popular. I think you're going to find that it's going to be useful to your game. So get out there, guys, reap some tank souls, and I'll see you in game.